Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Post Plan Podcast. Well overdue, I think. But it's all based on we've been busy with lots of stuff, and honestly, there wasn't anything really to talk about. So I mean, we tend to bounce out ideas. Well, if we don't have anything to talk about, it is what it is. Also, another quick disclaimer. This little background thing we're using, we're gonna update it by next week. The name over there is supposed to be G. We're gonna get that fixed, since that's what you want. So G goes by G now. So we're gonna sort that. But anyways, this is gonna be a very interesting episode because you and I have had a very different experience with Siege in season 1. Would you like to talk about your experience first?
Yeah. So I mainly play ranked. I've mainly played ranked for a while. Now, do I have a lot to show for it? It depends on the season. But I still enjoy that style of play because that's what I like about Siege. And I think the entire industry is just at war with this. I keep running into cheaters, man. It was pretty bad when I was playing about like 2 to 3 weeks ago, and that's anecdotal evidence. So I don't really like using it as an example of, hey, this is why the game sucks, right? Because that's not fair. But I am an analytical person, and I do look at things in patterns. And so when my experience matches up with a ton of other people's experiences, then I start to go, okay. So when I queued up for 5 games with my friends, and then 4 of them happened to have blatant cheaters in them, and then only one of them was a legit game, I personally will interpret that as, okay, I had a bad night. But then when all my friends tell me that this is what they're regularly running into, then I'm going to say that it's a systemic problem.
Yeah.
So I really don't like talking about it anymore because I've talked about it for a pretty significant amount of time. Cheating is the one thing that I always have stressed again and again and again. There has to be something one day, or not just Siege, but pretty much every comp shooter in existence is just gonna, like, that market share is just gonna be bye-bye. And it's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna be like Thanos snapped out of thin air one day. It's gonna be a gradual sort of decline that happens over time. And then you'll notice one day, oh crap. And I don't want that to happen to the game. But at the same time, we're having a lot of these arguments about data privacy and what software is capable of doing versus what it should be doing. And I'll end my tangent in a second. But the one cardinal example I had to compare him to everything else was Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike was like the golden daddy of FPS esports forever and ever, amen. It's supposed to be the golden standard that everything is compared to. And that game didn't have, quote-unquote, kernel-level anti-cheat. And that was touted as a big win for Valve. Now that game is inundated with cheaters too. So while I've been working on other projects, while I've been working on it's not a side hustle anymore, is it? My other main project between me and my strategy guy. I've been playing Titanfall 2. There's
I've
like
never
3,500
actually played
people.
that.
Really?
No, I haven't.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You didn't get bit by the bug back in like 10 years ago then.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing at the time, to be honest. I guess I wasn't like super into shooters at the time. Oh, never caught on.
I love movement shooters. I was one of the weird people that really liked Infinite Warfare's multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
I actually really liked it a lot.
You're not selling Titanfall 2 to me right now.
I'm just saying. Well, hey, I'm not gonna, hey, not hashtag ad. But yeah, it gets 3,500 players on a good day. And there are cheaters, but usually they get reported. And I haven't run into as many, nearly as, the game benefits from being kind of a niche game that to be fair, not a lot of people really care about. It's like its own unique kind of little community.
Hmm.
That also doesn't mean that there's a lot of like quote unquote clout, right? There's not a lot of like internet clout or, you know, weird like Gen Alpha stigmas associated with it in terms of looking cool and having a cool rank. Because that's what's happening with comp shooters, right? Like people aren't like, you have some troll cheaters, but a lot of people are just pretending to be good, right? And they just they're just cheap and they want to like cheap win.
Weirdos.
And Titanfall doesn't really have that problem as far as I've noticed yet in terms of the same degree. But I'm really bummed out about the situation across the whole industry, and I wish that we could have a more good faith conversation about the solutions to this stuff, because I understand that the devs and even corporate may not necessarily have all the tools in the toolkit they need right now. And a lot of the solutions that people are asking for are going to be invasive. I don't think people are ready to have that conversation, because that might mean that they'll have to admit that they have to pick one or the other. They'll have to pick privacy, or they'll just play a different game. I think a lot of people are just going to play a different game.
Yeah. It's a very tough nut, to be honest.
It's why I hate talking about it.
Yeah, because it really feels like a never-ending war, right? It's just a war of attrition. I mean, yeah, it is a war of attrition, which is very frustrating because you know that it's not gonna be solved in a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a couple of years even.
Or one blog post.
Yeah.
Or one tweet.
Exactly, which is weird because some people seem to have that expectation, which is odd. But going back to it, I've actually kind of had another experience. I'm absolutely not going to take away from your experience and your friends, and so I definitely
maybe I should play
heard...
standard. Maybe I should be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because you know I've seen lots of people complaining about the cheating situation, especially in ranked, and I've had the occasional cheater too. Don't get me wrong, but I haven't experienced it as much. So I mean, I would say in general, like I've been really enjoying this season. Obviously, content-wise, it's really, really sat well, and I'm still like, you know, it still feels fresh, and even to the point we're gonna talk about the balance patch later. Going into this, I think this was the first time in a while where I didn't feel like, wow, they really need to fix this now. Obviously, I had in the back of my head that's like Solis is getting fixed, you know, at the start of the season, so yeah, that's coming. But yeah, I don't know. I've had a fairly decent impression of season 1 in that regard. Obviously, yeah, the cheaters are bad. Although there was a patch. Well, yeah, the balance patch just came out, right? And since then, I've heard good things about, you know, the anti cheat gets updated, or the game gets a version update, so then the cheaters need to catch up. So apparently, it's been quite decent after that. The question, of course, again goes back to how long that holds up, because I've only played like 1 or 2 ranked games this season, and you know, after hearing your experience and other people's experience, I've kind of used to avoid that for the, you know, just to actually just be able to enjoy myself, which I have been able to. Obviously, I would never touch quick match with a 10-foot pole as it is now, but standard's been doing it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I should hit it up with some goated standard gameplay.
Yeah, I mean,
but Titanfall 2's got me in a chokehold right now, so I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, it's like you were saying, also going back to like ranked and like how people feel like the necessity to play ranked. I don't feel that necessity. I just, you know, I just play games to play games. I don't feel the necessity to have...
play games for fun?
Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to play a game if I can't feel superior to people?
I just experiment with setups and everything and just have fun with the game mechanics. I don't need to play for points. And I think that's something more people need to learn, to like unhook that part of their brain that just gets serotonin go brrr when they get points go up.
Well, I'll keep you updated with what my therapist says about it. How about that, Keeney?
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe we should just make this you know, more than just a Siege podcast, so we actually have more things to talk about. But I mean, have you kept up with other gaming news?
So To an extent, I'm working on a number of different projects, but I am following gaming news from a bit more of an all-encompassing perspective, more encompassing perspective than I used to be, than kind of like sitting in the siege kind of, sitting on the siege island, I guess. And I'm really, really curious about what's going on with a couple of things on the horizon right now. Those two things being Den of Wolves is one.
Yeah.
And the other one is Marathon. Now, what makes the drama surrounding Marathon interesting is that not too recently, about a month or so ago, I believe, late April, March or April, I forget, somewhere in that ballpark, they swapped over studio leads, or they swapped over the leadership in a significant capacity. Not like somebody got fired. I think it was one of those like just kind of people got moved around sort of deals. But that game is supposedly, allegedly, from what I've read, reports are claiming it's going to be a hero game. So it is an extraction shooter, PvP style, with a hero system.
Okay.
Which we play Siege, and we're used to that.
Right.
Now, a lot of people have very strong feelings about hero systems in games. I'm kind of on the fence about it at the time that I've been playing, in terms of the amount of time that I've been playing Siege. One of the big criticisms that I hear, and one of the main reasons people have a hard time getting into Siege is the learning curve. So when you get to like a million different characters, you can have a game that will come out 1 year, and then it'll have a certain level of base simplicity to it.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, in order to provide content, then that game can end up becoming something that shares a lot of the core mechanics that you might have enjoyed a long time ago, but then it has a lot of different monkey wrenches kind of thrown into the mix of things.
Yeah.
And so it can be difficult sometimes to introduce people that may have played the game before to get to come back into it later.
Yeah.
So if you play the game like at launch and you really enjoy it and you keep up with it, that's great. But if you want to get into it in like year 3, year 4, how much kind of cultural staying power does that have? So Marathon's having that argument right now, because I can't think of any other extraction shooter that's really implemented a system like that. Another thing about extraction shooters is that there seems to be this conversation about, oh, it's just another battle royale-ish kind of genre. Like this is like a new genre that people have been trying, all the big like corpos are trying to cash in on, or what have you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that argument is 100% fair, because not as many people have tried to make an attempt at that yet.
Yeah.
Call of Duty tried to do that with DMZ. I'm weird. I didn't hate it. I actually kind of liked the idea, and I was hoping that they would elaborate more on it. But because not enough Warzone kids liked it, then they just canned it, and it's probably dead forever. Marathon has a unique opportunity to cement a completely new audience there. But I am really curious about Den of Wolves, because it had the Payday people behind it, for one. And Payday 2 was very well regarded. But it also has the potential to tap into a cultural headspace that I don't think a lot of like typical live service games are going to capitalize on.
Yeah.
And that's the co-op centered emergent gameplay. There's stakes. We want to win, but it's not the end of the world if we lose kind of gameplay. So that's the kind of gameplay that Helldivers 2 is really famous for right now, for example. Helldivers 2 has all that drama going on with the PSN account stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've been following that.
Yeah, I've been following it.
And then of course Tarkov. I mean, I saw you popping off about Tarkov, which I used to be like you. I used to mouth off just about every single thing that Gamer Corporation Inc. did, and now I just I tend to take a backseat more often now. But I do agree with the sentiment.
Yeah. It's a very interesting conversation though, because I do feel like I'm kind of on the side of the people that are like claiming that the sort of new culture, the sort of genre that so many games are trying to dip their toes into is the extraction genre. But seeing all of these games that are trying to do Tarkov, so many of them fail to actually add a genuinely unique spin on it. Like so many of them just tend to end up being like Tarkov, but not made by Battlestate. and it's so boring. Like we obviously have Gray Zone Warfare, Gray Zone Warfare coming out. It's pretty much Tarkov with a little bit of slight twist. There's Arena Breakout Infinite, which is very eerily similar to Tarkov. Some of the assets seems like directly copied from Tarkov, but nonetheless, it's weird. I personally love the genre. I love the extraction hardcore elements, but I hate Tarkov, which is super weird because I want to like it, but there's something with like the TTK and it being realistic that just kind of sours the experience, and the PvP aspect of it that's really sours.
You're not really into like milsim stuff.
No, because I'm part of the crowd that is like, I take good gameplay over realism, and I don't like being one-shotted by a rat that's sitting in a bush.
What if I had a caveat for you? What if the idea for the mechanic is, if it's realistic, therefore it is intuitive, and so therein is the goal of the.
Like it depends. It depends on what you want. Like, do I want to play something that's more similistic, or do I want to have like something that feels good?
Because that's what Siege ended up doing recently, right? With the one in the chamber. Like, outside of gameplay mechanics, to me that just makes intuitive sense if you have any kind of like understanding of the internal logic of how a firearm works.
I mean, that was both to me, both good gameplay, but also it was intuitive, right? So that's good in that sense.
Because Siege is in this really interesting kind of like Rubicon it's crossing right now, where I think that, like, this is what I always said about Siege that made it unique, and people, I caught a lot of flack for pointing it out, because I said that like without esports, like Siege is pretty much donezo. Because I remember the game coming out in 2015, and like, I mean you were there. How many people were on? Like as many people that are playing Titanfall 2 right now.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I mean,
Siege's launch
was bad.
It was really bad.
Yeah. I think that like
it was $60 with no single player, and like it was the multiplayer component of a $60 single player game.
Yeah,
like that. That's what it was. And so I think without leaning into that, it had to do what it needed to do to survive. But then in a weird way, it ended up taking a lot of elements of the genre and of the gaming space that a lot of people find unfavorable. And so that's where you get this interesting sort of like dichotomy now, where the game is significantly slower than it used to be in year one. You could argue that it's more realistic, like in quotes.
Yeah.
Right? Like one in the chamber, slower ADS time, everything makes noise, everything's like deliberate, slower, yada, yada, yada. Ignore the gadgets for a second and just like consider that part. But because it has a pizza guy, then it's like, oh, this game's so unrealistic now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I get it, because like I'm getting old, and I'm kind of getting to that point now where when I play Modern Warfare 3, which I bought for some reason because I had this weird idea that it was going to be different from the last game. It was just not in the ways that I thought it would be. I'm addicted to arcade shooters hopelessly. That also has a very significant component of it.
Oh, have you been playing XDefiant?
I am excited for XDefiant. I did play a little bit of it.
Did you play the beta that was like a week ago?
I didn't play the recent one. No, I played like a test before that.
I did not get into it at all. I don't know what the hell. Everyone seemed so excited.
I'm kind of back and forth with that.
But it felt like COD with a different coat of paint, and abilities. It felt so soulless.
Overwatch COD.
Yeah, it was like not even that. It was so lifeless. And like, don't get me wrong, this is gonna be controversial.
No personality.
I remember going. I went back to the initial trailer that everyone hated, except me. I actually liked it, and it had so much more color. The gameplay felt a little bit slower, which in the for me it looked better, because it felt like it actually mattered more about your positioning, your teamwork, yada. And when I played it, it was so much faster than in that trailer. And it was really run and gunny, and like the abilities didn't really feel like they mattered too much.
Yeah, you can't really tell the difference between. So this will be interesting, because I am talking about it. Shameless plug on Couch Co-op a little bit. Um, there's something happened in 2014 when Titanfall showed up on the map.
Okay.
And then every single arcade shooter, which, Call of Duty, the primordial soup from which, mainstream shooters came from. Every other genre, every other title that had some kind of mainstream appeal suddenly had to look at that and go, oh crap, what the heck do we do? Now we're combining like arena-like components with a multiplayer space. How do we do this without like alienating too many people? So then everybody had an idea of how to make the game really fast without driving away, the guys who went to go play Insurgency Sandstorm eventually instead, right?
Yeah.
So I think what people are starting to notice about the FPS genre in general is that there's lots of little branches that have moved into different places and atomized. And it's not 2014 anymore. It's not one of those things where like everybody is like kind of like there's FPS fans and they all play like the same thing. Now the tastes are diversifying and moving out into different ways. And so I think there's a lot of clash of ideas there. But with XDefiant, that was one thing that I noticed when I watch people upload clips of it. I can't really tell the difference between that and like any recent Call of Duty game. And I understand that the idea was to emulate Call of Duty. I'm not saying that the devs are stupid and they didn't, accomplish what they set out to do. But I'm just not particularly sure what the goal was there from like a corporate marketing perspective.
I mean,
because I don't know who that audience is.
I think that was the goal, right? It was to emulate COD, and
yeah, but like, how are you gonna do that? I mean, I don't know. Call of Duty is massive, right? Like,
yes, but Call of Duty does one big
quote
mistake
unquote to like boomers like me, like millennials.
Yeah.
But with like Gen Z and Alpha, like that's the main. Like people play Warzone. Kids play Warzone and Fortnite.
As someone who doesn't even like XDefiant, they do one thing really well that COD refuses to do, and that is that I can't believe I'm saying this about a Ubisoft game, but they're actually gonna respect players' investment into the game. That game is supposed to be a live service that's supposed to go on for year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, etc.
That's the one thing I think that will differentiate it. Yes. I think the community aspect and like, because a lot of people don't like SBMM. For one, that's big. That's going to draw a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a different energy coming from that particular dev team in the way that they communicated with that base. They understand that not everybody is going to play the game, but they're going to target that base. If that base is loyal and they like it, I think it'll do fine. I just don't know how big that base is.
Yeah.
That's the only thing giving me a red flag.
It's going to be interesting to follow for sure.
I agree, and I'd like to play it when it comes out.
When it comes out.
But yeah, with Siege, like relating all this back to Siege, I guess, yeah, my thing is that I can't really justify approaching the game in anything but an involved, strategic, thought out way. Just because, maybe that's just because I played it for 8 years and I did analytical content, and that's just kind of where my heart ended up lying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. Maybe, people can say like, oh, well, that's because like comp shooters just like ruined everything. I don't know what that is. I think that Siege competitively is a fantastic game. But at a certain point, I do kind of worry a little bit about how many people is the game actually for. And I think that Ubisoft, if they're smart, they're just going to focus on making the game for people. That's what I said in the last video that I did discussing the patch when it came out.
Yeah.
I said that Ubisoft needs to make the game for people who like Siege, not people who don't like it.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, that's happened.
Yeah.
I just can't justify playing the game right now because the cheating thing is just completely out of control.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe standard would change that for me. I don't know. Maybe I'll boot up some standard, and then I'll enjoy the game again.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
that's
okay.
I mean,
I'll take your word for it.
I don't know how it is on NA servers, but at least for me on the EU servers, it's been quite decent in general. And yeah, it just feels nice to be back, and like the Siege community in general is doing well. Again, it's nice to see the player numbers are up. Obviously, they've gone downhill a little bit since SI, but that's normal. That's always when it's gonna peak, right? But I think there's still like
it always
averaging.
peaks around invite. Yeah, it always peaks around invite.
They're still hovering around
Sorry.
like 100,000, which is quite nice to see. YouTube numbers have been up as well, also nice. Especially as someone who has their job is invested in how well Siege does. I mean, a couple of months back, I was even debating if I was gonna start doing other content on other games. See if that
I got that's just what I ended up doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, but and it's going well, so that's awesome, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Maybe I should have done that. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm not gonna stand here and tell you what to do.
I might hook up Vexian later. We'll see.
Your business.
Who knows?
He's not taking new clients, but I could.
Shit.
I could put in a good word for you. How about
that? Yeah, I don't know.
We're cooking, man. We're so. My work week is pretty much. I don't really play the game a lot. Like, it's mainly research, writing, and editing. A lot of the editing involves found footage from YouTube that I go through and I kind of use to contextualize what I'm talking about. News articles from different publications. Yeah, like the gameplay isn't really the focus. It's more talking about the games from a holistic kind of point of view.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm kind of getting esoteric with it today. But I don't know, man. I did really give the season a fair shake. And I kind of sat down and I was just like, I don't want to play against cheaters. Like, I don't think the fix that I want is going to happen soon. I mean, I say soon, right? I don't mean like it'll never happen. I just mean within the immediate future, right? Like next month or next week. I don't think that's going to happen. It might take a year. It might take a year and a half. When that does happen, cool. Talk to me then. I'll still plink away at content. That's fine. I'll make a season review. Every once in a while, chime in, say hi, how you doing? But yeah, I don't know. Comp shooters are just in this weird place right now where I feel like if you play that particular live service game, you're just not interested in anything else that the industry is doing. And that's kind of lame, because I want to do other stuff.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, but yeah, this isn't my show, it's ours. Like, I don't want to yap about my particular business
stuff. No, it's all good. I think it's interesting because obviously we started this as a Siege show, and I'm completely fine with branching out, and we talk a little bit more about just games in the state of, I guess, FPS gaming in general.
I mean, if you're cool with that, I'm cool with it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I guess I guess that's a relatively unofficial way of announcing that here.
At the end of the day, this was supposed to be an outlet for you and I to just yap together. So we yap what we want to yap about.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, 100%. But at least since I guess this is the one episode where we're doing our little crossover, we could talk about the balance patch for Siege. Should we at least stay a little bit on rail?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So I think you're gonna announce like a couple of days ago, and they almost immediately shipped it onto live servers. There was no test server involved, which I personally am a fan of. I
am too.
Yeah, I like it when it just gets shipped. The content is just raw. We don't get this weird where like only a select people, a select part of the community gets to experience with the things. They just shipped it after like a day or two after it had been announced, and that is good. I think in general PTRs for most games, it kind of takes away hype from something releasing. It's been on the PTR for 2 weeks. Some people have experienced it. Some people can't because they're on console.
Look at XDefiant.
Yeah.
How many tests?
Yeah,
Like people,
that's
it's
a
like,
that's
dude,
a whole story and a
your
half.
momentum is so important. Yeah, like that was the Apex Legends strategy. Like in 2019,
Yeah, yeah,
they just said no trailers, no marketing, no nothing. The guys who made Titanfall made a battle royale. Check it out.
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
not saying that's a one-to-one comparison, but you know, the psychology of it is the same.
yeah. A lot of people in the gaming community in general seems to be kind of pissed off in general with games announcing
Everything.
way too early and then like releasing multiple years later. There was
We're getting delayed.
yeah, well, delays I can kind of get, and then delays are good. You know, that might be unforeseen circumstances, right? And that's why they have to delay. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was announced a couple of weeks back. It's releasing later this year.
I
People
missed
were
that.
very happy about that one.
Hmm.
And then you have like, you know, games like Outer Worlds 2, which got announced like a couple of years back and is probably at least 2-3 years away, considering that Obsidian is releasing Avowed this year. That's where their focus is.
Dude, remember Arc Raiders?
Oh,
Did you follow that?
oh Lord.
Where is that?
Oh Lord.
The finals. We're working on that right now.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh Lord.
Sorry. We'll put that in the
Oh no. No. Don't
in
get
the
me
back
started.
on the back burner
Don't get me started.
forever.
But yeah. Game developers. Shadow drop shit. It's actually more exciting. You don't have to announce things a year ahead. Necessarily. Depends on what it is. If it's like, you know, events and stuff, you can always teasers are always fun. Teasers are always fun. But I don't know, this whole like test server shenanigans and like announcing games way too early, like stop. Nobody likes that.
Dude, I was yapping. I remember I was yapping on the show about the test server lab for the Shield stuff. I love the Shield rework. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
One of the cooler additions that they did to the game. But like, I saw test server lab and I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, there's
what are we
multiple
doing?
different kinds of test server now, and
A test
still
server
don't
for
really
a test
know.
server?
Yeah, so that was test servers where
No.
they weren't even sure if they were gonna do it on the test server eventually. I don't know. It's funky.
No.
But yeah, let's.
Too much.
Actually, how about give me a second. I'm gonna just make sure I get all of the things here. Okay, yeah, here we go. So,
Awesome.
to preface this, G over here has not seen the balance patch whatsoever. I have. So we kind of have this interesting contrast here potentially. I'll just list off the changes.
Yeah, I can live react to stuff, and you can yeah.
Yeah, and then I can tell you just how it's played because I've also been it's been out now for like a couple of days.
Yeah,
so
you can tell me if my take is good or bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll actually be fun.
You can say L dub.
Yes. So basically, the first. Oh God, why did it have to move? The first thing that is on the list is they're kind of increasing the Azami nerf a little bit further. Apparently, wasn't sort of like enough. So now in general, like from most guns, the Kiba barriers take more damage. Like now you don't need like a full mag and a half of AR in order to destroy like a Kiba barrier, and like handguns, like revolvers and shit deal more as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
When I saw like, oh, an AR can take it out in a full mag, I'm like,
a lot. Yeah.
Who's gonna sit there and go right? No one's gonna do that, right? That's good. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, it isn't like super crazy. It's I still think it's like people don't want to sink bullets into it, so it's like you don't really see it playing too much. But I think if you're actually genuinely going for it, like you're gonna actually feel kind of rewarded, especially like if you're using like LMGs or DMRs, like you can take them out quite fast now, which is quite nice. Another
good counterplay is something that kind of happens without you really noticing it.
Yeah, exactly.
In my experience, I think with Siege, like that should be one of those things. Like Azami should not feel, yeah, she I don't like it in games like this when a character just gets like hit completely over the head with a Nerf bat. Like that's always really lame to me. I always feel always feel like that's like really unfortunate when it happens. So
Yeah.
with Azami, I'm glad it turned out the way it did.
Right. I agree. We agree. That the Azami change is good. It only tunes her down a teeny weeny little bit, so that's quite nice. Another one. I think you're gonna like this one because I'm pretty sure we talked about a entry operator that both you and I thought should have been a support on our podcast before.
Yes.
You remember which one?
I don't remember the episode, but I do remember talking about this particular character. Are you? Is this my cue?
Yeah.
Yeah, Iana, right?
Yeah. So they did exactly that. I don't know if we had any part to play in that. But basically they removed the stun grenades.
We here at the post-plant pod like to think we know a thing or two about FPS mechanical design.
But yeah, they replaced their stun grenades with EMPs, impacts.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And they specifically say they want to move her away from frontline and more into a support operator role. Specifically. Which
role restructure.
Yeah.
Malusi. A Malusi deal.
Yeah.
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 Makes sense.
Yeah, good job. I mean, not gonna take credit for that one, but maybe we.
Well, it was one of those. It was one of those deals, Keeney, where the gadget intention was supposed to serve one function, and then it was on paper versus execution, right? And execution, the Forever Drone just ended up being like an Aruni gate burner.
Yeah.
Which is like cool, but that should be a tertiary.
They mention in the patch that they specifically want the gadget to sort of facilitate refrags. Like you drone in actual entry and they refrag your Gemini. So again, it really feels like they're kind of regurgitating what we said on our podcast that episode, which is nice. I mean, hey, if y'all are listening.
Do casual players even know what a refrag is, though?
I mean, yeah, I'd say so. It's kind of basic.
Have you seen my randoms?
Trust me, I've gotten some crazy ones as well. But there's always good. There's always diamonds in the rough, right? Like at the end of the day, I always try to when my randoms do something problematic and I'm streaming or whatever, like I always tend to talk to my chat about it, and it's not because I hope that the random gets better, but it's like I hope that I at least like educate a person in my chat, so that person in chat doesn't become the random. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I'm terrible. I'm like, help!
Yeah.
Hey! Why'd you die? Refrag me!
Yeah, it's. It is an FPS.
I'm very impatient.
No, I get that.
No, but I get it.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the most basic things. Like I run in, I try to kill the person. If I don't kill the person, you kill the person.
I run in, I lose my one. I suck. You're good. Shoot them.
Yep.
Thanks.
And in that aspect, Iana should be a very good operator.
Yeah, I can see myself playing her a lot more.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just happy. It's honestly where I think she fits better as a character, and I actually think more people are gonna get better value out of her when they play her like that.
Game design 101.
Yeah, even if it's like
trick people into doing the smart thing.
Yeah,
don't force them.
Yeah, literally, it's like they're not really like changing her power level much, but it's more like encouraging her to slot in where she should be slotted in, which I do like. So I'm really excited to see where she ends up with that. Obviously, there's gonna be entry players that drop her, and now actual smart support players pick her up. So I actually do hope her win rate does go up.
People are gonna try to, that's the thing with a game like this, right? Like, it's not binary. Like, because there are black and white roles and designations does not mean that there are situations where you depending on the circumstances, like you need to get a little flexible. Yeah. Like any operator can entry, any operator can roam, any operator can anchor, any operator can play support. But some operators are better at those jobs 90% of the time than others. So with Iana, I think that it makes sense for her to be in the situation that she's in. If people like the gun, then they can shoot with the gun. I mean, you can shoot with any gun, right? It's an FPS game. Just shoot them. Shoot back.
Use click heads, lol.
Get your gun up.
But yeah, so we're 2 for 2. 2 good changes. All right,
Yes.
so far so good.
Yes.
I will say again, going back to it, like I didn't even have expectations for this balance patch. I actually feel like the game was, it's in a tolerable state. There's nothing that really sticks out. Although you should, I do.
Oh yeah,
wanna,
people are happy with the game. Like, yeah, I
I
think.
do want to mention that Ash is sitting at a positive win rate with 80% pick rate, so that's gonna be interesting to see what goes down there.
Oh dear, I've been contributing to that. I'm afraid.
God
Pick
damn
rate.
it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
God damn it. But yeah, gonna be super interesting.
I can't be, dude. I played support for 8 years. Like, my brain is checked out. I'm sorry.
Wait,
just,
how
like,
old are you now?
I'm turning 28.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be put on the thermite soon. You might as
Not
well
yet,
get
not if I
you
can
might
help
as
it.
well just get the last couple Ash rounds in before some young gunner has to replace you on that.
I don't know. I got plenty of time.
Okay.
I hit the gym. I keep my mind sharp.
Okay, now we're gonna get into a little. We're getting into hot take city.
Oh boy.
So, Lesion gets a change, which I mean it is a nerf. However, I think a lot of people are overplaying it quite drastically.
Gamers overreact. Oh my god.
Yeah, but let's see. I'll tell you what it is. So the initial damage when you take that first take a damage is going down by 2 damage. So instead of 5, it's 3. Obviously, it's still like subsequent still deals the tick and the hit damage, the impact damage. So it still can do a lot in that regard. And then the gadget refill timer is going from 20 seconds to 25. So basically when you would have 5 traps before, you have 4 now. So it's slowing down a little bit of that generation of the goo mines. Which is funny, if you play quick match, I'm pretty sure you can't even get the last 2. But regardless, fuck quick match. Gotta say that at least once per episode.
You should run some merch with that. You should.
Yeah.
That's like your thing.
Yeah, that is my thing.
Get like a sticker.
And one more thing, which we will add on top even later, once we get to the balance patch. But he also loses impacts. However, he does gain observation blockers. Let me know.
Wait a minute.
Thoughts.
Wait.
Yeah.
Obs blocker with the mines.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
I do want to point it out. I would say a majority of the community has reacted negatively. I am enjoying Lesion.
I'm a blocker. Only real blockers get it. Okay, like the obs blocker might be like one of the most slept on gadgets, because like I even hear in the professional circuit, it's like, oh yeah, this thing's useless, and I'm just like,
especially combined with mute, where you can literally make spaces undronable. That can be really nuts.
Yeah, like chat. Like, spoiler alert: the pro league community is not a monolith.
Yeah, they're not.
I know that's crazy. Like different teams have different philosophies of how to approach the game, and have different opinions about how to do things.
Yeah.
So just because one professional influenced, whatever you want to call, person, right, says, obs blocker stinks. That's,
that's just,
I'm not saying it's wrong.
Man.
I'm just saying I think it lacks perspective. I like thinking outside the box with the game.
Yeah.
So I think Lesion is a good choice for that.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm not really that picky about, though, because he was like so good to begin with.
Yeah, it was pretty solid overall.
Yeah.
Which apparently one of the reasons
he's a very plug and play operator. That's what I call him.
One of the reasons they made the change is they said that even though they made them not invisible anymore, the damage that they were dealing was still actually either higher or too high. Than
well, you're pretty much guaranteed at least one hit.
Yeah, because obviously
People don't
you just have to
look down.
move the goo mine from, instead of being in the middle of the door, you
Just put it in the
on
doorway,
side.
or put it against the doorway. Yeah.
Which is that's like something that a lot of people had issues getting in in the first couple of weeks when the change happened. I still saw a bunch of Lesion players just sticking it in the middle when you didn't have to do that. But now people seem to have caught on, so he's performing.
Well, I mean, also people will go into a doorway and then they'll strafe.
Yeah.
Right, like they'll strafe left or right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because something is like, I don't know.
No, I mean,
that's why Capcom traps work, right? Like, because it's not necessarily that's just like, oh wow, this person walked into a Capcom trap. Wow, it's so dumb. It's like, think about all the different things that are going on, right? Like, you have to keep your gun up at head level or you get swun. And when you're ADS'd, there's some instances where like the angle of it like is covering up the bottom part of your screen that you normally see something there with. And then you go around a corner and then boom, right? That's like how traps work. That's how the whole like, that's why people like playing them, right? Is that there's a little bit of gambling involved, but there's ways to increase your odds.
Yeah.
So Lesion's, I think Lesion will be okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm not mad about it. I think it's fine.
It's you and I against the world. But I fully agree. I feel like
it wouldn't be the first time.
Again, this kind of it kind of does the same as they did with Iana. They're taking what is usually played as sort of like a fragger operator, and they're kind of moving him back. You know, they want you to play more passively, generate these goos, play the time especially, and observation blockers also just kind of help you buy even more time. They want you to stay alive, so you generate more goos. I think if you actually play Lesion properly, I actually don't think you're gonna notice it that much. And in fact, the observation blockers might actually help you again, just buy even more time by making yourself and your goo mines harder to drone out. So I've been playing it a little bit, and it's actually been doing quite well without impacts. But we're gonna get into that too.
The effect of the gadget seems to hit the mark. And also, he has a shotgun anyway, right? He has
you can still set up side. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, dude, he's fine. Yeah.
And
he has a good gun. He has a gadget that'll get. Yeah, he has a solid primary that you can click heads with really easily. Sight setup. He has he's a trap operator with sight setup and a good gun. Like, come on, he's good. Give me a break.
All right. So 3 for 3, good changes. Banger.
Yeah, I agree.
Banger. Okay, now we're getting into another one. I get this kind of a hot topic, but you know, I think it's a lot of people are still kind of coping about the other element that she lost, which is Nook. They are buffing her.
Yeah.
They are
I did see some burbles about this one.
Yeah.
On the PL.
Yeah, basically they're just increasing her duration to 30, and also it's people are reading it wrong, because they're saying that the cooldown has been increased to 30 seconds, but that's just because the pool of ability is larger because you can run it for 30 seconds. So therefore, of course, if you're going to fully charge it, it's going to be 30 seconds. But basically, it's just plus 10 across the board. I think, I mean, in general, I think people are, the whole, deal with Silent Step is like, people are still so attached to this one thing that honestly doesn't even matter that much. You know, I still have Ashe players silently walking up on me regardless. Like, Silent Step is like not needed. Yeah, you. But it's like I'm maybe on board with the people that say like Nook could be a 3-speed. Like, that's fine. I don't think it wouldn't not suit Nook to be a 3-speed. But also, this change is honestly very slept on. 30 seconds is a shit ton.
That's a lot.
That's 1.5 Goyo. And Goyo's burned forever.
I think that might be enough. Dude, I think that might be enough to go through all of Bank Garage.
That's the example I've been using.
On one cooldown. Like, normally, like, that was like a sleeper strat. That was like a let's pull a rabbit out of a hat strat. For Bank, some teams would just be like, okay, we'll give, we'll send one guy Bank Garage, and then you would have to wait at the money truck for the cooldown.
Because there's a bulletproof
then hit it again, and then go up the staircase. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can just go for that whole.
You can now, yes. Which is super slept on, because.
Yeah, no, that's big. That's huge.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? The timings of that are crazy.
But it also kind of goes back to. I think the issue in the Siege community is the Siege community has a hard time understanding.
Playing the game?
No, but understanding that niche operators are a thing, and that's okay. right?
That would require them to play the game.
I use this example. You know, there's both examples in like League of Legends, but also in like traditional sort of trading card games. The concept of a tech card or a counter pick thing, and Nook is that. Nook is not an operator that you're always going to slot in. You're gonna play her all the time. So, which is why the concept of, you know, having mains is stupid, because some mains aren't going to be good every single time because they might be a counter pick or a / tech card.
No. I paid money. I paid money for I paid money for product.
Yeah. And so going back to it, just to sort of set an expectations, tech cards are something that you might slot into your deck if the meta is currently heavily favoring something specific. So like in Hearthstone, you know, there were some decks that might be very weapon heavy. And then there was a card that you could slot in if you wanted to that destroyed weapons. Obviously, it's dog shit if the meta isn't very weapon heavy, but if it is, it's good. And Nook is that card. Nook is an operator that you want to bring when she's going to be good, when the enemy are running a heavy camera lineup of Valkyries or Maestros, etc., or when you, again, for the strategy of bank, where you just want to go through the entire bank garage. That's when you want to play Nook. Nook is not supposed to be a main operator. She's supposed to be a tech card, just like IQ or Brava or Warden or, you know, those kinds of operators. They are also niche pick operators that you pick into a specific strategy, and that's okay. They don't have to be played every single round and be good every single round. They can be really good at what they do instead. They are special. What was the one?
Specialized?
Yes, yeah, specialized gadgets that do a very specific thing good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything you said was 100% true.
Yeah.
But we're also dealing with Siege players who are mad that the strategic game is strategic for some reason.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, to a degree, I kind of get it. Like you said, like some people are paid. They want to be able to make sure that the character that they enjoy because she looks cool or whatever, like, plays well all the time. But at the end of the day, it is still a comp shooter, and balance is important. And you don't want operators that, you know, if they're supposed to be specifically good at dealing with a very specific thing and they're just good in general, you kind of just end up in situations like Solus, where, like, yeah, she's extremely good at dealing what she's supposed to deal with, but she's so damn good at it that you could just run her every single round. She's that good.
Yeah.
And that's
lame.
bad.
That's lame design.
It's
like, you don't want to have characters that are just like, there's no reason to bring this. Like, if you are optimizing, if you're fully optimizing, you should bring this character 90% of the time. Like, that's lame.
Yeah.
But you should also have room for the ability to reward understanding the game, man.
Yeah.
Because like the whole point of the game is to think creatively and solve problems in creative ways. Like, that's what makes it work. I wish more people would, you know, approach it that way, but like, I don't know. I sound kind of like blackpilled on gamers in general sometimes when I talk about this stuff.
I'm with you on that.
But yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. Every once in a while, I'm just sort of like, dude, like, I tried to be like the nice brand ambassador for the longest time of like, it's okay, everybody can learn, you know. Now I'm just sort of just like, dude, go like play something else. Like, if you don't like it, like, I don't know.
I'm fully with you.
Yeah,
it's at the end of the day, like, it is a game design, and you know, if you're
Call of Duty's Call of Duty.
Yeah, and Siege is Siege, and
yeah,
it is. I think understanding that not every single game has to be made to your liking, it's gonna make games boring. If game developers would try to please everyone, it would make a really shitty game. First of all, because everyone has different tastes, because we're all individuals who like different things, and some games are gonna be tailored for what we like, and some games aren't, and that's okay. Which is always the weird thing with game reviews, right? Because game reviews, they're not objective, right? It's all subjective stuff. Just because a game reviewer might say that your favorite game was dog shit doesn't mean you have to think so.
Dude, movie reviews. I'm so over movie reviews.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be a movie that'll come out anymore, and it's like the professional critics, you know, all the smart people in the room are like, this was certified blah blah blah, like this changed cinema, and then I'll watch it and I'll just be like, I'm bored.
Oh, that reminds me.
I am bored. And then there'll be like a fun movie that's like fun that'll come out. It's not perfect, like it's rough around the edges, but then it's like, the humor was not delivered in the explicitly outlined format, and it's like 3 out of 10, and I'm like, dude, it was funny. It was like,
it reminds
funny moments.
It reminds me of
I had a budget of $70 million. Like, it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I go back every now and then and I watch like London Has Fallen or like Angel Has Fallen or like Olympus Has Fallen, and like those movies get reviewed like dog shit. They have like, you know, 5 or 6 out of 10 or some shit on IMDb.
Look at
but,
who's
like,
the guy? Why am I blanking on the guy's name? Who's the British guy?
Gerald Butler, isn't he the?
No, Jason Statham. But yeah, Gerald Butler's up there too.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I just like to watch dumb fucking cool guys shoot things up. You know,
somebody had a TikTok. It's like someone did a TikTok of Jason Statham movies. It's like, do you know who I am? I'm the mailman. And it's like, dude, I F with that. Like, that's great.
Yeah,
go for it. If people want to watch it, I personally, like, I'm not gonna watch it because it's not really like my thing. But like, it's hard enough to make it in show business anyway. It's hard enough to make it in any entertainment sector right now. If you're self-aware and you know exactly what you're doing, and you're just like, yeah, this is like, F it. Like, if people want to watch it, they can watch it. Then like, go for it.
Yeah.
I take issue when you have like some of the more like Disney-fied kind of stuff going on in the entertainment industry, where it's like, this is pure Scorsese-inspired cinema, and it's like
absolute cinema.
This is the Marvels 5,000. This is Captain America 500. I've seen this movie before, dude. It's okay. Like, you can just say, here's more stuff. Like, you don't need to, I don't know. People don't know how to take themselves like not as seriously when it's appropriate, and people take themselves too seriously when they shouldn't be.
Ooh.
That seems to be the entertainment industry in a nutshell. Like, Doom Part 2 was cheaper than Ant-Man and the Wasp to make.
I like how you just know that.
I'm a giant nerd.
That's fair. That's fair.
Crazy for movies. We have a whole thing going on in the living room right now.
Oh,
we're still cooking it.
Okay.
I've seen Dune Part 2 3 times in theaters. I was gonna see it a 4th time. I considered it.
Sure.
I'm serious.
I'm
serious.
went there for the popcorn bucket. Let's be real.
No. Listen. I went there for something else. I wasn't for the popcorn bucket. Nah, look,
extra butter.
Yeah, I think that it's nothing wrong with that. Mileage may vary. I think that everybody has a different cup of tea in terms of the stuff that they want to get out of entertainment. Yeah. I hate that whole idea of like, why are you sweating? Why not just play the game for fun? It's like, what if I like sweating? What if sweating is fun?
Oh,
like, I like putting an involved state. Like, it's a sport. Yeah. It's like playing basketball with your friends. It's like playing soccer with your friends. You know, like if that's a hobby that you do, and you're in like an exhibition league, you're going to the park with your buddies like every other weekend. You're not in the lab like sitting around like you're not playing professionally for a team. Yeah. But you're just fascinated by the intricacy of it, and you like exploring that because that's something that you're into. Yeah. Maybe you play chess, like you're really into like chess openers and like learning the game. That's learning the game. It's not like some people like that. Yeah. Let people like that. If people like approaching the game like a sport, let them approach it like a freaking sport. Yeah. It just always comes off as so jealous to me anytime somebody mouths off about it that way.
It's always like you're playing like standard, and you do like a basics, like you try to experiment and doing like a new kind of site setup. Like immediately you will have a guy going into all chat. It's like, go to ranked, and it's like if you're playing ranked, the same guy will go like, go play pro league. It's like, dude, I can't just not play the game. I'm used to playing it like that. I mean, sorry that you can't.
It's the game.
Like at the end of the day, that's
the game. People get mad when you use verticality. I'm like, what? Yeah. It's a hole.
Like
There's a hole in the doorway. It took me 5 seconds.
Like for me, it's not sweating. For me, it's just this. I
It's
play the game good normally. That's what I'm used to. But yeah, we're going kind of off the rails. There's still more to this balance patch. A couple.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Let's keep it rolling. Sorry.
Another little fun change. Oryx can now run through. He doesn't stop when he does it, but he can now run through deployable shields and OSA shields. And I already had a very fun moment with that that I uploaded a little TikTok and a YouTube short about. So
that sounds like a content moment. I
yeah,
hear that and I'm
fun.
like, uh-oh.
Just sat behind the shield and like I saw a guy come in front and I just yeeted straight at him through the shield. That was
oh my
amazing.
gosh, you charged him from Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, now I know how I gotta edit that in YouTube.
The poor guy.
Yeah, you just FNAF jump scared him.
Yeah, you gotta get the edit. You gotta get the music.
Yeah. So that was pretty
up.
fun. It obviously doesn't really change much like comp or whatever. Like it's just kind of a fun change.
Yeah, it's just like a little thing.
I like that Ubisoft did that. I like that Ubisoft were like, oh shit, we don't have anything to put in this balance patch because like the game's actually kind of balanced, and they were like, yeah, just toss in like the little Oryx change.
Something
there.
fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of Siege in a nutshell. It's like it's a serious game that also like I can't think of a single game that has like that level of levity to it, even though it's kind of like a serious involved thing.
Yeah.
So having little dashes of spice like that is cool.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, it is like kind of cool when you think about it, how like balanced Siege actually is. Like pretty much all characters.
Dude,
are, like,
it's a miracle
playable.
that it's not a complete mess.
Yeah.
Like the amount of crap that's in the game.
Yeah. True. Yeah, fun. I guess thumbs up on that one as well.
Yeah.
I think so far everything has been kind of a dub. And then Sens.
W patch.
Sens. Ooh. Oh, what are they gonna do?
I did see this. This did get spoiled for me. I did see the
okay.
the additional gadget. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I'm a senser. I'm a Sens enjoyer. Okay,
Same.
like I've been. I'm a. I don't know. Can you see her on my? I have to move my tripod. Oh wait, Mike. There we go.
Oh, Viper.
Yeah. I'm a huge Viper main in Val. Like she was the character that I was playing like pretty much from day one since I started playing the game.
Based.
So I really like the ability of being able to manipulate the map and the geometry as much as I want. I think Sens has always been really good for pocket stratting.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that change. I think that
it's played out better than I thought. Having that extra is just really nice in order to be able to do more stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's the Maestro effect.
And I've also found so many, now that I've played them a lot more, I do just kind of find myself just finding so many more things to do than like a lot of people compared Sens to just a regular smoke grenade. Like, why would I not just play Twitch? You know, you get 2 smokes and they kind of do the same. There's so many ways.
You can't get the smoke grenade. You can't get that kind of precise placement. From a distance safely.
And the deploying time as well. The Sens will deploy immediately. A smoke, you're gonna have to wait for it to deploy and stuff. So there's so many more aggressive plays that you can make with Sens that you can't really do with operators with smokes.
Yeah, it takes time. Like you gotta work with it a little bit and get to a point where you have a plan. Like you need a plan.
Yeah.
But once you find that plan, it's really fun to execute it.
Yeah. I hope to see way more Sens, especially like Sens in comp. I definitely want to. I hope.
I do like it when I see them get used in comp.
For sure. So hopefully there will be a lot more of that at the Manchester Major, which is crazy. It's only 2 weeks from now.
Are you going to Manchester?
Sadly, no invite. It is what it is. Dude, I don't know. Ubisoft UK might have a gripe with me or something. I don't know. Ever since like they dropped the Nordic studio, I just keep getting like cucked. But it is what it is.
Jeez.
It is what it is.
Well,
and I
sorry
just
to hear.
I don't feel comfortable like using my own money, and especially like
Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is.
No, I get you. I'll take some pictures for you.
Oh, you're going there?
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm going. Yeah.
Flip.
My first Europe. I've never been to Europe.
Oh,
Not once.
Your first impression with Europe is gonna be Manchester. Oh no. Oh balls.
Yeah, England.
Well, not
England!
just England. England, Manchester.
Oh, I don't know heads or tails about any of the difference. I know that like
Manchester literally is like the highest amount of stabbings in the entirety of Europe.
This is...
Just be careful, okay? Yeah. Anyways,
They have trains. I don't have those here.
Oh yeah, you guys are dog shit when it comes to that.
Dumb.
Yeah, we have that here in Sweden too as well. Even better than the UK.
Especially in Texas. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
It's just roads.
That was actually a
We have a
very weird
bus.
thing for me when I went to the US. You guys don't really do trains, which is odd.
In
to me.
DC we train. We in New York.
New York.
That's
New
it.
York. I mean that's
it.
fair. You guys are catching up.
Well, because history lesson, very brief.
Okay.
But those like when they were colonial cities.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days, they were built up in a way that's similar to a lot of European cities that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
But because we spawned into the world map a little bit later.
Yeah.
Than you guys did as like a player character.
Yeah.
So some of the infrastructure didn't really get built up until cars kind of came around. And so then a lot of the infrastructure got built around cars instead.
Yeah, you have fun with that.
I won't.
It
sucks.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I mean, I hope you
I'm
enjoy
looking forward
Manchester.
to it.
I hope you enjoy.
I'm looking forward to it.
It should be a good time. Should be a good time. Last. Actually, no. I mean, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pretty much the last thing on the balance patch, and this is probably the one where you. I don't know.
Are you predicting a disagree?
I don't know if I'm predicting a disagree, but this is the one. This is the second part. That's also sort of part about where people are like kind of unhappy about it. I think comp people seem happy about it, and I am very happy about it because it plays into something larger that I've talked with you about before as well. But I'll get into that later. But basically, impact grenades now. They deal less damage.
Oh, yeah, I did. I heard about this.
So 60 damage to 40 damage. So it makes it harder to deal with shields. This is an indirect buff to shields. And they are also nerfing the range from 3 meters to 2 meters, which impacts impact tricking. But I'm gonna say it like this. If you're not playing comp, you're not really gonna notice the range nerf as much as you think that patch note is detailing, because most heart breachers are dog shit, and they put them way too high up where it's still gonna be within that 2 meter range. If they're good heart breachers, which you don't really get in your normal games, hell, some pro players don't even know how to do it. Going back to it, pro players are not a monolith. That's when you're gonna notice. Well, if you're making these crouch breaches and not vault breaches with hard breachers, that's the only time you're really gonna notice it, because they're actually gonna be low enough for the impact to not actually reach. But yeah, basically they wanna make impact tricking and the gameplay around impact tricking more skillful, and I'm honestly okay with it. I as someone who does enjoy shields though, the lower damage is kind of scary, but. I guess they don't want the impacts to be used as like a lethality tool, and they want more people to play into the whole like shield suppression mechanic, which is fair. I think a lot of people kind of forget that you can utilize that when you're dealing with shields now. I tend to use lay into them. Like if I'm playing against a shield, I just laser the shield. I make sure that suppressive fire debuff is on, because they can't melee then and everything. They run slow. It's very effective, and I think a lot of people don't understand that it's that effective, because the game doesn't really do a good job at showing you.
Well, I haven't even intuitively like picked up on that habit yet.
Yeah,
I've been playing the game for so long that I forget that it's even there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I play a lot of shields, so I just get used to like, man, having this debuff sucks. So when I'm playing against shields, I make sure it sucks.
Smart. Visualizing what your opponent is doing is a very difficult but really useful component of it.
I always say that like if you have issues with a character in a video game or something, like play a couple games in their shoes. You're very quickly gonna pick
think
up
of
on
it
how
from
to
their
counter
perspective.
them.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think impact. It's such a tough thing. It's kind of like the nades from below thing. Like,
Yeah.
what population of people is even gonna notice the change?
Comp,
Like,
most likely.
that's it.
Yeah.
And well, it's the awkward situation the game is in, right? Like it's a competitive shooter.
It is gonna punish people who are bad at breaching. Like if you're attacking sort of like top floor bank and you're acing a vault breach onto square wall, you're gonna get impact tricked. Whereas if you're a good ace player and you're putting it crouch high as you should, you're not gonna get impact tricked anymore. And I think it just makes the skill gameplay around hard breaching more impactful, and I do like that. I like that we're actually taking one step further in sort of like punishing bad hard breach players, which there's a lot of, especially on ace. You know who you are. So I'm actually kind of okay with the change in that regard, personally.
I don't know what to think. I think because I remember talking to one of my friends who's a comp player about it, and I was just sort of like, shouldn't the game like be allowed to have like cemented mechanics that just like this was here since Kingdom Come Forever, Amen. This is like a darling. Like we don't kill the darling here.
Yeah.
I had more time to think about it. I think it's one of those. I think it's very similar to the nade from below thing.
Yeah.
I think that the positives of it being in the game don't really outweigh the negatives that it has of being on the board the way it is.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I unfortunately think that impact tricking is just one of those mechanics where it's like, this is a little bit too specific to kind of teach at like a really, really broad level, because there's a lot of other fundamentals I think you got to get to before this is even like a thing you start encountering.
Yeah.
So I'm not super pressed about it. And they shouldn't be damage dealers primarily either.
Yeah.
Like they should be for like they should be for last ditch situations where it makes sense, where it's appropriate, or as a diversionary tool, right? Not as a killing weapon.
Yeah.
Secondary gadgets, you know, aside from frags, depending on the context, really shouldn't be like dedicated for kills.
Yeah.
Like that's not what the game should be about.
Yeah. We agree then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say initial knee jerk, you know, if I was like a comp nerd, which I was, I played comp for a little bit. Initial knee jerk would be like, dude, what the H? And the more I think about it, probably like, yeah, you know, for the balancing person in the sky or whatever. Right. So we're 4 for 4.
I think it was even more than 4 even.
Was it 5 for 5?
6 for 6 even, I think.
Look at us.
Yeah. Look at you.
Look at us.
Good patch.
Good Yubi. Yubi dub.
Yeah. And now we just hope that the season 2 is a banger as well, which is probably going to be our next episode. Hopefully the time in between this episode and the next won't be 2 months, but well yeah.
I'll try to remember.
Will be talking about
I'll
the
try
new
to
season.
yeah.
I mean it is. I mean it's 2 weeks from now on. Where are you invited to play the new season? Then I'm assuming.
Is that even like a?
Actually, maybe we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Skip it about data. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. That will be our next episode. We will talking about once the season 2 reveal has gone out. We'll be talking about that in the next episode, which will probably be like 2.5-3 weeks from now.
Yeah, we'll have plenty to talk about. I mean, we always have stuff to talk about whenever there's a new patch. Yeah.
This balance patch
don't
was
worry,
kind of
chat.
slow.
Don't worry, chat. We got you this time.
But yeah,
the curse is not real.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no matter. I mean, sometimes it might be a little bit in between an episode, but we're making an episode. All good, all good, man. But I think that probably. I think that's kind of it for episode 10. Unless you have any closing words you wanna get out there.
No, I'm chilling. I'm looking forward to Year 9 Season 2.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
Bye bye.
Deuces!